And I think that always, my feeling that I was sort of an other in a sense my whole life, and it was an other that nobody really knew about. Like, so feeling outside a little bit, and maybe like I didn't have power in that sense, was sort of a nudge to want to get there, want to get it.
Welcome to the Represent More podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Clarkson.
And I'm your co-host, Shireen Clarkson.
And today we have a very special treat for you all. We are I'm interviewing my co-host. And so we're going to hear all about Shireen Mosenzadegan Clarkson today.
I'm excited.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
You're going to get to know me.
Yeah, I'm going to get to ask, is anything off limits?
I think you know. I think you know what's off limits and what's not.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Do I know?
We'll see.
We'll see. That's why we have editors.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to launch into that. But before we do it, how was your weekend?
The weekend was nice. This was another kid-filled weekend. The kids are done with school.
Adia graduated third grade.
Adia has graduated third grade.
Big time.
And it feels like summer has begun. So we had a nice Malibu weekend. And yeah, I'm trying to think of any highlights.
Well, I have a highlight.
Oh, you have a good highlight.
I've got a good one.
Get into it.
I went to the USA-Paraguay World Cup game.
That's awesome.
The opener. And It was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. How was the energy there?
Electric.
Mm-hmm.
People were so excited. And I feel like this time around, there are more soccer fans, more football fans.
You
right?
think?
I think so.
I feel like there's always a ton of soccer fans.
But this feels different in the States. Maybe it's because we're hosting and everybody's just so excited about, going to actual games. But, it's also probably because the team is very strong this year. I mean, they came out like they were shot out of a cannon.
Yeah.
Maybe it was Katy Perry's song that kicked things off that did it. Fireworks, No, she didn't sing that. She sang something else, but it was great. She was great.
Yeah.
And then I think we scored within the first 7-8 minutes.
That's
and it
fun.
was just an onslaught after that. We just kept the pressure on, and I think it ended at 4-1. It was great.
Yeah. Nice.
I went with some buddies. We had a fun time.
Mm-hmm.
What else? What else is going on? We went to a baptism yesterday.
We did.
For a friend. That was a nice moment for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. We discovered a new Italian restaurant they held the reception at on Main Street in Santa Monica.
Mm-hmm.
What was it called? Papil?
Gustative.
Gustative.
It had a very unfamiliar.
Gustative.
Yeah. Yeah.
I gotta work on my Italian accent a little bit.
Yeah.
It was tasty. I liked it. They
It
had
was
a nice
really good.
bruschetta.
Mm-hmm. Good pronunciation.
I'm only going to talk in Italian.
Oh, jeez.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Do you remember when we went to Italy and this couple whose son was baptized yesterday, they got married in Orvieto, Italy, right?
Yes.
Maybe 5-6 years ago?
7.
And I was the officiant.
Yeah.
And which was fantastic. And I think I was referring to myself as Padre Ryan. Is that right?
Yeah, but why? Oh, God.
I think I spoke with an Italian accent. I drank a lot of wine that week. But I was speaking quite often with an Italian
Padre
accent.
with an Italian accent, so somehow that made
But it should be Padroni, right? Padroni?
I guess.
I don't know.
It's not Padre.
Yeah, it's definitely not Padre. But that made it even funnier.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, to me, anyway. Probably no one else was laughing. So that was nice. And then Adia started beach camp today.
Yep.
We dropped her off this morning. She was very excited about that.
Yeah. LA kids get to do beach camp. That's fun.
Oh, yeah.
I would have loved to have done that when I was younger.
Yeah, beach camp for us was like an afternoon at the lake.
The lake.
For, I don't know. We weren't doing what they're doing today.
Yeah.
There's no surfing in Wixom and Walled
But you
Lake
guys
Michigan.
get riptides, I hear. whatever that means. I heard this from a Michigander recently.
We get riptides?
She said we get riptides in the lake, and so we know what to do. We know how to handle the ocean. She was trying to convince me that. I said, okay.
Yeah.
Does that sound right?
It's a different kind of thing, though.
Yeah. Is riptides even the right terminology for lake?
I don't think I've personally ever thought of lake.
She said the really big lakes.
So there are the Great Lakes, and they look and behave a lot like oceans.
Okay.
And so you do get riptides there, but not like the riptides that you get over here.
Yeah.
On the ocean. It's just a different thing. And then the Detroit River also is a moving body of water that really has some flow to it. And that, during certain conditions, can create riptides.
Okay.
And that, I would say, is more dangerous.
Okay. Thanks for clarifying.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
But, we just had a big swell come in last week, and the waves were crazy.
Right.
And there were legitimate, concerning riptides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You threw around the word tsunami, and I started freaking out.
Well, that was an unrelated incident.
Oh.
There was an earthquake off the coast of some country.
No. You were checking out the waves from in Malibu, and you came home and you said, the waves are insane. I feel like there might be a tsunami coming. And you did say that, and it concerned me.
Well, every once in a while, I'll look out and I'll think, is that a tsunami?
Yeah. No, I have a very irrational fear. I hope it's irrational fear of a tsunami, taking Malibu down one day. It's horrible.
I think that's irrational.
I think it's irrational.
It's nice to be prepared.
But every now and then I just think, just living by the ocean, you worry, you kind of want to make sure you're mentally prepared for all possibilities.
Have your exit routes detailed.
But I think it's very unlikely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, everything gets pretty vertical pretty quickly in Malibu, right? I mean, as soon as you're off the beach in PCH, you're upland and up mountain.
Yeah.
Up country. Up country.
Sure. Right.
So it was a fun weekend.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about you. Let's get into it a little bit.
Let's do it.
So
what do you want to know? I have no preparation here. You didn't tell me what you were going to ask me, so I don't know where you're going with today's topics.
Well, it's going to be a little free flowing. I don't have prepared questions.
As usual, yeah.
I have a general idea of what I want to get into, but I thought we would start with I thought we'd start by going back and getting into your childhood a little bit and having you tell us what kind of a kid you were,
Okay.
What you were into as a child, but why don't you start with where you were born?
Yeah. Okay. So I will take it back. Let me take it back just briefly to my parents, just because I think that helps shape who I am briefly. So my parents are from Iran. So I'm of Persian descent, and but they came over to the United States when they were kids. So I think unlike most Iranian-American immigration stories, they came well before the revolution, which was in 1979. So they came in the late 60s as teens, and they really wanted to assimilate because they were the only Persian people they knew. There was really no community here. So I think my parents assimilated probably very quickly, or tried to. And then they met here, they got married, they moved to Germany, and that's where I was born. So I was born in Germany. I was only there for about 6 months. We came to the United States with my sister. I have one sister, and I grew up in the Bay Area, Northern California. And my parents were I think the Bay Area is very liberal and progressive, even back then when I was a child. And so my parents, having come early on and raising us in the Bay Area, are very liberal and progressive minded to a certain extent. Both self-proclaimed feminists. So my sister and I were raised in that sort of even though we're from Iranian parents who can be traditional in some respects, they were very liberal and very feminist minded.
And I would say your parents are traditional in many respects, but they're the best of both worlds. They're also very progressive in other respects.
Yeah, I think so.
And what I would say is, and give us a little perspective on this. Your parents have kind of, old country values, a belief in family and hard work and obtaining your education and all of those kind of values that we maybe feel a little older school. But they're also very progressive in the sense that they're socially progressive. They, they believe in equality among all human beings, regardless of stripes.
Yeah.
They don't otherize people. That's not part of their constitution at all. I mean, do you feel that that's kind of an accurate description of them? And elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's true. Yeah, and I think having two girls has, they're very on the side of women, in a sense. And so,
Girl dad, what?
girl dad,
So
yeah,
Kamal.
and girl mom, totally. And so the message to us was always, you don't need a man. I mean, literally, they said, they both, I know, it's crazy. They both said this to us often. You don't need a man. You will have a partner one day. You will have a family. It'll be great. You don't need a man to do anything, and make sure that you do everything you can and need to do to take care of yourself. That was always the message from both of them.
So self-reliance, I mean, that's definitely not old
Very
school
Persian.
thinking.
Right.
This is more on the progressive side.
Exactly.
But they're trying to instill in you this value of self-reliance. And
Yeah.
I would say that both you and your sister Nikar are both very self-reliant.
Yeah.
That took, would you say?
Yeah, I think that took. And so independence and education and making your own money ultimately were the objectives that they tried to, ensure that we would go after.
Give me one quality that you think you inherited from your mom, and give me one that you think you inherited from your dad.
Oh, my poor mom. I just thought of a negative one from my mom's side and a very positive one from my dad's side.
Isn't that funny
That
what
sucks.
we do to
That's
our
not
moms?
fair because
that's not cool.
I know,
All
because
right.
my mom's so cool. Okay, let me think of a good one for my mom. But for my dad,
Yeah, go ahead.
my dad,
Kind of want to know what you thought of, but maybe you don't have to share.
I can share.
Okay.
I think from my dad, I got his. It's interesting because
Your math skills.
Shut up. That's a joke. I know.
Your dad's a nuclear engineer. He's like a total math whiz.
Yeah.
That gene did not pass.
That didn't pass. That's the one weakness I have.
The only one.
My only weakness I have.
I agree.
Not great at math, and you love to remind me of that.
But you have moments of just brilliance,
right?
Mathematically.
Yeah, where
You're
we
just
I shock both of us.
Where'd that come from?
Yeah. Okay, so from my dad, I think I get his kind of calm and coolness. I would say.
We'll allow it.
Will you allow that? And what I mean by that is that he's pretty. I feel like you're not going to agree with this. He's very calm for the most part and cool. I think I get that. He's a chill guy. And most people in my life, aside, you know me in a specific way. We're husband and wife. Most people, I think at work.
Yeah.
God, I hope. And in my social circles, other moms I know, friends I know, they all say I'm pretty calm and collected. Okay?
I think that's totally fair. I think that is accurate. I think that you are very composed, very poised.
Thank you.
You have an elegance about you.
Oh, thank you.
That I've always admired. And I would say that your father very much has a sense of self-control.
Yeah.
And he listens before he speaks. He has all of those things. And I think that's correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about your mom?
And he's a great listener. Isn't he a wonderful listener?
Great listener.
And I think I get that from him too.
Sometimes, yeah.
Again, put your husband cap aside and think about all other aspects of my life.
Yeah, you do. You have an effective ear.
Is this going to be a productive interview?
No,
I don't know. There's a lot of
No. This is all great. What about your mom?
A lot of projection over there. Okay, my mom. I get Well, she was strong with the independence. She was very, her message was be independent. She's very independent. Um, and I think I get I get that desire to maintain a sense of independence, and I think I get that from her. She's also very intuitive and very introspective, and I think I get some of that from her as well.
In what ways would you say that how does that manifest your introspection and your intuition? Because I agree, I think that you very much have that, but maybe give us an example of how that might surface or manifest.
I mean, it's in my everyday interactions with people and my inclination to, make big decisions in my life. And, I think everyone has intuition and everyone has an ability to connect, understand sort of what their gut is telling them. Everyone has that. But I just feel that my ability to do that has come from her because she's very, very in tune.
Yeah, that's great. And she's a Germanophile, I would say. She's so into Germany. What city were you born in?
I was born in Heidelberg.
Born in Heidelberg. We've been there a few times. It's gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Your parents love it. They still have friends back there and visit often. Do you feel connected to your birthplace?
I do to some extent, because I've just heard about it so much my whole life, and we've visited, and I absolutely feel a connection to Germany in some ways. Yeah.
What was it like growing up in the Bay Area?
So the Bay Area, like I said, very liberal and progressive, very diverse, except there was really no Iranian community, no Persian community. We had some family members, little few here and there that we knew and were in touch with, but not a lot. So I feel like again, a lot of diversity. So I was exposed to a lot of different cultures and people, but my own was missing. And so I felt a little bit of, I would not go as far as to say identity crisis, but I would say a dual identity where I felt very American and, no different than all my peers, yet different because I am from a Persian family, and, and there is this other culture that's, in me, but that really wasn't expressed in any other way. It was just sort of at home,
So your parents do have friends and they have kids, and you grew up with cousins, and so you were also connected to at least a smaller, more close-knit Persian community, right?
Yes, and most of that family were family who came over either during the revolution or afterwards. And so they're a lot more connected to their Iranian heritage in a way that I wasn't and couldn't have been because my parents were a little bit less connected. And so I always felt a little like not Persian enough, in that group. And then with
you speak Farsi.
I speak Farsi, but you think I speak very well. I just speak better than you. You know what I mean? Like I am not very good, and so when I'm in those communities, I'm struggling, and like I don't know all the etiquette like I'm supposed to know. I don't know all the cultural, there's so much. Well, I know it. I've been around it my whole life, but I'm not good at it.
Well, that you're being self-critical because you've got very high standards and expectations for yourself. But whenever we're in in a Persian gathering or at an event where other Persians are there, you're speaking Farsi, and
again, this is coming from somebody who doesn't speak the language fluently, let alone like much at all. We can talk
well,
about.
I mean, listen, I can hang with Farsi.
No, you're good. Yeah,
but you're just at a different level, and I know the difference between someone who maybe just moved from Iran and is just first language, let's say, and someone who speaks fluently like you do, but maybe it's not your first language.
Yeah,
right?
There's a spectrum. Anyway,
but I think
I don't feel
you're very strong.
Yeah, well, thanks, Ryan. So, my sister would disagree.
But your sister also spent
She's really good.
significant portions of of time in Iran, right?
She went there once.
She did a gap year there.
She was there for a couple months once. Yeah.
Okay. To be immersed in the Iranian culture in Iran is a different thing than to have picked it up from your parents, who were also very much into
trying to
assimilate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's but you have cousins that you grew up with as well. Mm-hmm. I've met a bunch of them. Yes. They're all so wonderful. Who's your favorite cousin? A favorite cousin, not the favorite.
Shervin is high up there.
Shervin's the man.
He's one of my closest, and yeah, he's a favorite.
Shout
out to Shervin.
He's a wonderful guy.
Yeah.
Shervin, and
I've got so many great cousins.
Arash, and who else? Yeah. Who else do you?
Are we going to start naming? I mean, I could. There's a long list.
And Farazine and the whole gang. So, what else? What else do we want to know? So tell me. Well, I want to get a little bit more into your life in the Bay. What kind of kid were you? What did you like to do when you were growing up?
Yeah, I was pretty good at academics, not like top of the class, but I was comfortable in school and did well. I was sporty. I liked I played tennis and basketball. I was quiet. I wasn't like life of the party, but I was very social.
You weren't life of the party?
I wasn't life of the party, but I was.
At any point in your childhood, teenage years, did you ever become
partied. Don't get me wrong. But I wasn't like class. I wasn't like Mr. Mr. Right. I was thinking about you. I was thinking about your interview, and I remember you talking about yourself, as sort of Ferris Bueller of the school.
Yeah.
That reference is so old for most people, but yeah.
Not for our listeners.
Okay.
I'm guessing a lot of millennials aren't tuning in. Gen Z.
Yeah. So, but then, that wasn't me, but I was very social and I had a lot of friends, but I just wasn't, I'm a more reserved person than you is all. And so, yeah, that's kind of the type of child and kid I was.
So what sports were you into or activities?
I played tennis through high school. I played basketball in my younger years. I didn't play basketball in high school because I was too short and not nearly as good as the...
You're still solid at pool basketball, though.
Pool basketball, yeah.
We've had some wars in pool basketball.
Yeah. And I played the drums. Let's not forget. I played the drums. Yeah, for a few years. I played in, starting out as a kid in elementary school, and then I played until high school. And in high school, I was in the jazz band for a couple years, doing my thing. And then I got a little into like the social life a little too much. And
so you never went from jazz band to like garage band?
No, I was never in that kind of band.
Okay.
I know.
I wish I did. You ever think about doing that?
Do I think about doing that now?
Had you thought about that?
Like I said, I ended up
a little Sheila E.
That would have been so cool of me if I was like a little Sheila E. But no. My drumming days ended around like sophomore year.
Let's talk about influences. Maybe we start with musical influences. Who were you really into in terms of music growing up?
Mostly, well, which years are we talking about? I guess in high school, I was very much like in the 90s, I was a grunge kind of girl into like Pearl. I mean, I was like a raver grunge kind of girl. That's the fun. 90s. What can you do? And so I was, I liked all.
Would you go to raves?
All those bands. Yeah. Hence the move away from sports and music.
That will do it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. You start raving, you're not hooping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I always I love Guns N' Roses. That was a little bit earlier in my life.
Yeah.
In fact, Prince was my man, my
Share
jam.
with everyone what you walked down the aisle to at our wedding.
I walked down the aisle to November Rain.
That's right. A 3-piece orchestra version of it.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
I'm a big fan.
What about other influences?
Mhm.
Who were your role models growing up?
My role models growing up. Oof, let me think back. I think I'm trying to think outside family members, but
Yeah, even talk family. That's fine too.
I mean, my sister has always been a pretty good role model for me. I've always looked up to her. She's only a year older than me, but she's such a strong force and always has been in my life and beyond. And so I've always looked up to her and her strength and sense of she's just a strong chick.
Yeah.
You know,
Talk about that a little bit. In what ways is she a force? How would you describe that?
I would say where I was always a rule follower and probably still am to a large degree, she was not, and isn't. Just, marches to the beat of her own drum and does what she wants to do, and not in a bad way, in a wonderful way, and she's always just demanded what she wants in her life, in her social life, with men, with work, with school. I mean, in every way. She's just, this is what I want and this is what I'm going to do. And it's been wonderful to watch, and I always learn from it, and I'm inspired by it.
Share a little bit about your sister, who she is and what she does.
Yeah, so she is she's an actress, and Nakar is that again, and she's we grew up in the Bay Area. We both went to school in Santa Barbara, UCSB, and then she moved to LA to become an actress at age 20 or whatever it was, and she did it, and she is a very successful working actor and has been again, definitely not the traditional trajectory for a Persian girl, hard to break into as a Persian woman, and has just broken down doors.
She's kicked them down. She's phenomenal.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Great person, but just in terms of her artistry and her skill as an actor, I think she's Hollywood's best kept secret. I say that all the time.
I know. I agree.
Yeah. So that's awesome. So you looked up to your sister.
Not a total
up.
secret either, by the way.
No, I know, but she's not a household name.
Yeah.
She gets recognized all the time, no matter where we are in the world. We could be, vacationing in Europe and people stop her and want to take pictures. It could be in, St. Louis, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she's definitely recognized, but she's not like, she's not an A-lister who's recognized, who's like a household name.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean by that. Would you agree?
I agree that's the current status.
Yeah. And that she's the Hollywood's best kept secret.
Yes.
In that way.
Yeah, in that way, yeah.
So, okay, so you looked up to your sister, and then who else? Who else did you look up to? Anybody else?
I was always sort of looking for strong women who are successful in their careers. And so I know that was always something I had my eye on and was watching. I can't think of any specifics that I followed, for a long time. But
your mother was a working mother, and she did sales, and sometimes you'd travel with her.
Mm-hmm.
And did you like that? Was that fun?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I could tell that she got so much out of it, just being on the road and like being out and doing her thing, And so that was definitely something I learned from and was motivated by.
Yeah. And then your father, he's a nuclear engineer, I think, in the early years, but then continued on with engineering, and he was one of the early employees at Tesla, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And he's a big fan of Elon Musk and, all of his companies. I mean, obviously some of the recent things he's less, as he's become more political, it seems like he doesn't like that as much, but he likes what he's done from a business perspective.
Correct.
Yeah.
And from a scientific standpoint, and from an engineering standpoint, from a genius, just he likes what he does with his genius. It's like, that's something to be impressed by. And he is.
You mentioned undergrad. You're a proud UCSB UC
Gaucho.
Santa Barbara Gaucho,
Yeah.
right? What was that like?
That was 4 years of FUN fun. I mean, it was just like, it was a beautiful time in my life. Yes, for sure. Everyone is just, it's a very happy school. Everyone's very kind and, happy. Everyone's partying and
I mean,
everyone's by the beach learning. There's a lot of, I got a good education. UCSB is a great school, really hard to get into now, especially. But it was just a great time.
what did you study in undergrad?
Communications, which was like probably one of the biggest majors there. So it was very, very,
Very competitive there, wasn't it?
it was competitive, but it was, there was so much, there were a lot of classes, a lot of resources, a lot of professors that were involved. It was a big major there.
What made you decide to go to law school?
I thought it was something that came about in my during my time at Santa Barbara. So this isn't something that I knew all my life. Didn't have any lawyers in the family that I, necessarily was following in their footsteps. I just knew that I wanted continued education because one, that was embedded in me, since I was little, but also it was something I desired because I liked school and I wanted a higher education. I didn't quite know exactly which field, but I knew I wanted to do something professional, powerful, perhaps corporate, mainly because I wanted to have influence and like ability to do something, to impact change or to, influence society. I wanted to do something big and independent,
So let's unpack that a little bit. So you're talking about this desire that you had, which propelled you to the decision for law school. You wanted to be influential. You wanted to do something good. To me, that feels like someone connecting to, an underdog mentality, right? I mean, would you say that you have some connection to an underdog spirit?
Yeah,
And where
for
does it
sure.
come from?
I think always feeling, as I was growing up, I've obviously mentioned my Persian heritage a lot throughout this interview. And I think that always, my feeling that I was sort of an other in a sense my whole life. And it was an other that nobody really knew about. Like in LA, everybody knows Persian people and Iranians very well. Where I grew up in the Bay Area and everywhere I go in the world, everyone's sort of like, who, what are you? So feeling outside a little bit, and maybe like I didn't have power in that sense, was sort of a nudge to want to get there, want to get it. I think just being a woman also, women have, there's some of that as just being a woman. And what I mean by that is you always want, I think there's a feeling of having like wanting to prove yourself that you can be just as good or better than, whatever it is, whether it's a man or, a the majority, the standard like sort of American majority. So I felt a little bit outside of both those things. So I think maybe my desire to have this more influence and be in a position of having some power maybe came from feeling like I didn't always have it growing up. Like I was like second in line or something in a sense. It wasn't this primary feeling where I felt bad about myself. It was more like subconscious, just always there. And now looking back, I notice it more like, oh, little Shireen was, didn't feel like she was on top always or ahead, felt like I had to get there.
Let's talk about your decision to go to law school and maybe how you think about it now. When you look back on that decision, what do you think about?
What do I think about my decision going to law school? Well, now I think it was a great decision. I mean, I think it led me to the place that I didn't know I wanted to be, but is the perfect spot for me to have realized those desires that I had and those, all those things that I think I wanted.
So I want to talk about your legal career now, and we'll start kind of at the beginning. and how you ended up where you are today. So you went to, where did you go to law school?
I went to Hastings in San Francisco, which is now called University of California at San Francisco, I believe. That might not be right.
University of California at San Francisco Law School, something like that.
Something like that.
Right.
Somehow I can never get it right. They changed the name a few years ago, rightfully so. But
Yeah. Did Hastings do something bad?
yeah, I don't think he was a good guy.
Okay. All right. And so they scrubbed his name.
Yep.
Okay. But everybody still kind of refers to it as Hastings.
I think so.
Kind of.
At least the people who went there when it was called Hastings.
It's still in a transition. Maybe that will eventually, die out. But I mean, when you went to law school at Hastings, and maybe even now, I know even today it's an amazing law school, but when we went to law school, 20 years ago or whatever it's been, it was next to impossible to get into Hastings Law School. Right? I mean, it's super competitive.
Yeah.
And
it's a great school.
I mean, you had law students, peers that came from all the Ivies, I'm sure.
Correct.
And all of the very, top undergraduate schools.
Yes, that's correct.
Probably a very impressive student body.
It was I would absolutely agree with that. I remember going into my first year of law school and thinking everybody was smarter than me. I definitely felt like that. And there were some just go-getter, just studying their whole, it seemed like they'd already studied, for law school. I mean, it was a very competitive environment. And
were you a go-getter in law school? Were you a gunner?
No, I was not. No, I was just trying to stay afloat that first year, truly. Yeah. And
the first year of law school is just so competitive, and it feels a lot like, I try to describe this to people who've never been to law school. It's like learning a foreign language that you've never heard or spoken before in that foreign language.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So you felt like that too?
I felt like that. And especially coming from UCSB, where everybody was so not like that. There wasn't that type of personality, didn't exist at UCSB. Everybody was just so
chill.
Happy and chill.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a very different environment. So
I hear you.
This was very cutthroat, competitive, and it was law school. So
did you have a nice law school experience? Did you enjoy it?
I really did. Yeah. By the end, and certainly looking back, when you're in it, it was challenging for me. Certainly that first year, second year, you start to feel a little better, but it was still a lot of work. I wasn't one of those who could. I don't know if people just coasted in law school, if there's any people who did that, but I was not one of those people. Whereas I coasted in lower undergrad. So
you had to work hard, and then you graduated law school. What was your first job out of law school?
So my first job out of law school was at a plaintiff-side sort of general practice firm, small firm in LA. And I was just thrown into the mix. I think on my third day, I went to a demur hearing that I handled and barely knew what I was doing. Of course, I mean, truly didn't even know when or how to state my name, my appearance. It was interesting. So this firm I was at.
Just a quick thing, demur hearing. So what a demur is it's a motion to dismiss. So after you file your first, when a plaintiff files a lawsuit, then the defendant has an opportunity to respond. And they can either answer that lawsuit, in which case it goes into discovery, or they can file what is in state court called a demurrer. It's a motion to dismiss the case on the pleadings. And the stakes are pretty high because the case can rise or fall on that particular motion. And so you're saying that on day 3 of after graduation,
yes,
you were thrown into a demurrer hearing.
Yes, I worked for a partner. It's intense. I worked for a partner who just was very busy, had a ton of things going on, and was just shooting from the hip, left and right on all things.
Okay.
And was just sort of just threw me in. And And, when you're thrown in, you do figure some stuff out. I mean, it's rough.
Right.
I had a little bit of a rough landing, but I landed. And yeah, he had me doing depots. That I right off the bat, depositions, and all kinds of stuff. It was an exciting first year. And I learned a lot that first year, but I also learned that, okay, I think I need some structure. I think I need a little more structure. This has been fun and all, but I think I need to get some more guidance.
It's good self-awareness because, you're thrown in the deep end and, you're kicking your feet and you're flailing your arms but you're staying above water. I guess, maybe you need some swim lessons at that point.
Yeah. And I started learning throughout that year, started talking to attorneys and different, friends who were at different firms. And I thought, okay, I'm at a wild firm that's just, really too busy maybe and not enough resources,
So where did you move next?
So I moved next to a firm in Century City, a defense firm, doing a lot of public entity work and litigation.
What firm was that?
That was at Orbach, Huff and Suarez at the time.
And you,
great firm.
And your boss was?
I worked a lot with David Huff and some of the other partners as well, and I was there for about 5 years. I got some great mentorship, guidance. I learned so much about litigation and just law firm life, and it was a great, great place.
What was David Huff like as a boss?
David Huff was the best. He was such a great leader. Him and David Orbach, both great leaders, led by example. So we saw them litigate, and we saw them, they're so articulate, and they were so careful and caring about their clients, and very good lawyers. And I learned a lot from them.
And fun, good guys too.
Absolutely.
So you saw
took care of their people.
They took care of their people, and had a nice culture.
Such a great culture. Everyone, especially at the time I was there, was friendly and connected, and we had social outings that we did, and
you made some great friends there too, right?
Yeah, some of my best friends. Yeah, it was great.
So, and then after, how long were you at?
I was there for about 5 years, and as much as I loved the firm, I didn't see myself growing there because it wasn't the type of practice that I could see myself doing for the long term. So working with public entities, there was some construction law, labor law, and all connected to the public entity work. And it wasn't resonating with me as something I cared passionately enough about to do for the rest of my life. So I said, I think I want to, as much as I love this firm, I think I want to go find a practice area that I could do long term.
And where did you go next?
And I happened to connect with somebody who told me there was a job opening at this law firm in Santa Monica, which was Milstein Edelman. And they do class action work and construction defect, but their class action department was looking for an associate.
And why were they looking for an associate?
And they were looking for an associate because they happened to have just lost one of their most stellar associates by the name of Ryan Clarkson. And they were looking to try, if they could, to replace him.
And we didn't know that at the time, did we?
No, we didn't even know each other. We had met once, prior to that, maybe a year prior to that,
right.
But I didn't know you.
That's wild.
Yeah.
And so you went to work for my mentor.
Yep.
Paul Stevens.
So Paul was looking for an associate because he lost you, and they brought me in, and I worked with Paul, another great mentor of mine throughout my career. And
let's pause there for a minute. Mm-hmm. Paul Stevens. So first of all, you were doing class actions. Working with Paul Stevens at the Milstein firm.
Yes.
What types of cases were you working on?
So we were doing mostly consumer protection, consumer class cases.
And how would you describe Paul? What kind of a lawyer and mentor and boss was he?
Paul was extremely analytical, thoughtful, and focused on when he would dial into an issue or an objective or a result or a case theory or whatever it was. He was so thorough. He would figure it out, and he was very creative. He would find ways to get to where we wanted to go. He's very good at that. And he taught me how to do class action work. He taught me how to litigate those cases and how to originate new cases and how to do this kind of work.
I agree with all that. Paul, he's also, and I think he coined this phrase, a true believer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's someone who believes passionately what he's doing. And I think that's why you and I both connected to him so well, because we feel that too. And he certainly helped bring that out of us.
Yeah. And he's also just an overall wonderful person. And
great guy.
Seemed like he cared about me and his associates and the people he worked with. So
and still remain friendly and friends with Paul, and still a mentor.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then at some point you leave the Milstein firm, and why on earth would you have done that?
So, well, during the time that I was at Milstein, you and I connected. We're not going to go into our whole story, but you and I connected, and we were dating, and you started urging me to come over.
Was it an urging?
It was an urging, I would say. So you had left Milstein to start your own practice with a partner. You and the partner split up at some point, and then as you and I were dating, you said, "Why don't you join me, and why don't we do this together?" And
what was your first response? Do you remember?
It was a no. I do remember that. It was a hard no. And it mainly because I had a good gig going at Milstein. You were doing your thing out of your apartment. And I said, I think we should diversify our plan here.
Right.
And just,
maybe get out of your bedroom and take some space, and then we'll
talk. Yeah, no, that is exactly right. And so ultimately you said, you know what, come on, let's do this. Let's go get an office space in downtown LA and let's try to really do this. So I did join you, and that was in 2014. And we got a space downtown, you and I. We hired a legal assistant and we started doing it.
Elena.
Yeah, Elena Fawcett.
That's right.
Yeah.
So okay, so now we're in the early years of our firm. How do you remember those early years?
We were so determined. We were grinding. We had, a few cases. We didn't have many to start, of course, and we were really trying to prove ourselves in those class cases. I remember our craft case being a big one that we were focused on at the time. It was one of our earlier cases, and
Judge Kronstadt in the Central District.
That's right. Natural food case. Yeah. And I just remember really trying to build something with you. It was exciting.
It was an exciting time. And talk about your work. What type of work were you focused on, and what really made your heart sing?
Yeah, I think the type of work that I was focused on is very similar to the type of a lot of the work I still do, which is changing our food laws and changing our food system and the advertising and marketing around foods. That was a really big focus of mine, and still is today.
Let's talk about that. So where does that come from? Because this really is you're kind of the food law queen in a way. I don't know that anyone in the country knows food fraud law better than you.
Well, I'm focused on it so significantly from both a consumer perspective as a consumer and a lawyer, because I'm just so genuinely interested in the topic. And so I see it from all angles, and I never get tired of it because it's an endless problem in America, and B, it's a topic that affects me and personally, and so I care about it.
Do you think that becoming a mother affected your interest in that particular topic?
Yeah, it probably just amplified it even more because I saw what my child and kids in America are eating, and it's always been a problem and a concern of mine. So I continue to try to fight that fight.
And you're definitely fighting on the front lines of that fight. Talk about, some of the different people maybe that you've worked with in order to try to affect change, from maybe a legal perspective or even from more of a changing of the law perspective, because, you've built some relationships over the years with certain influencers and that sort of thing in order to hopefully affect change, right?
Well, there are many activists, if that's where you're going with
Yeah.
this. I mean, aside from the lawyers we work with and the consumers out there that we work with, but there are many activists in the food area.
Give us an example.
Well, there's the food babe, Vani Hari. So we've connected with her and tried to link up with some of her causes because they're very much aligned with ours, and we will continue to do that. There's a Mamavation activist out there who does a lot of testing of contaminants, and we've worked with her and her organization. There's probably there's consumer labs, there's consumer reports that we connect with. There's all kinds of activists and you've experts out there.
You've cultivated these relationships in order to kind of try to fight what you see as food injustice in a multi-front war, I would say. It's been nice to see your practice evolve and grow in a way that tries to, I guess, create almost a flywheel effect in terms of what food law lawyers like yourself can do for change and for accountability and for justice.
Yeah, I think that's the way to do it, because filing, litigating is one way to do it, and it's our method, right? The class action tool is so strong, and it's probably one of the few tools we have to try to affect change in terms of our food and pharmaceuticals and those types of industries in America. But we don't want to just do it alone. We want the legislature's help, right? We want food activists can also be helpful, and so we're trying to connect with these different pieces so that we can work together. Because not one, you talk to Food Babe, for example, Vani Hari, and she's been working so hard, company by company, corporation by corporation, to try to get them to change. And she has her methods, as an activist, but she can't do it alone. So then she looks, she and others like her may look to lawyers like us that do the type of work we do, litigation work. And so, the synergy together is more impactful than just her or just us. And so, we try to connect with different people to try to impact change. I think working with the legislature and people in that sphere is helpful too, and we're going to try to do more of that so we can try to affect change on at that level. That would be a sort of a next step.
Talk about maybe one or two of your favorite cases or causes that you've worked during your career.
Yeah, I think There's so many, there are not so many, there are a few cases that the firm has, there's some very big successes and big results that the firm has achieved. And I'm very proud of those things. But, I could start naming some of those. I think, but to speak more about the work that I'm more directly involved in, it probably goes back to food. And what we're trying to do is, while class actions affect a number of people and have broad impact, you still have to target and challenge company by company by company, right? And so what I'm proud of is that we have the relentless work we've done to try to impact the industry by directing our efforts at corporation after corporation after corporation. And we have not been, we've not shied away from the biggest corporations. We are just as concerned with them as we are with, every company that's involved in the misconduct, which is whether it's false labeling or contaminated foods or chemicals that are not approved. So these are the types of things that I'm focused on. And so I guess to answer your question, I'm just proud of the long line of work that we've done in this area and in this field, and how it hasn't stopped because the problem persists.
Yeah, you've got a unique perspective, I'd say, given your role at the firm. Virtually every origination runs through you to evaluate because of your ability to analyze the strengths and weaknesses of a particular potential case. And, how did you develop that? And, how did you refine those skills, would you say?
Yeah, I think it probably goes back to our 10-10-10 plan, referenced by you as the Steph Curry 30.
The Curry 30.
The Curry.
Yeah, the Curry
Okay.
30 framework.
Okay. I think it all goes back to that. You and I, before we ever named it that, essentially utilized that method, which is you want to make sure a case is strong on the merits. In other words, you have evidence to prove the liability, whether it's false advertising or some other, or any other type of consumer issue, protection issue. And then you want to make sure that there's enough that people care, and that it's a meaningful change that you're looking to make. And then you look at the scope of the case. Ideally, we want to originate cases with the broadest impact so that we can make the biggest change in one hit. So we're looking at those three elements. And I think by doing this for the last, 15 or so years, and doing class action work for the last 15 or so years, you figure out which cases are impactful, which cases are provoking outrage in society and also judges and juries. You see which cases and which corporations are doing the most harm, and you look at those companies. And you so doing this work, you refine that skill more and more and more as you see these cases play out. So I've had the opportunity to see these cases play out over the last 15 or so years. So I think I'm hopefully getting better and better at it. And
I would say that you take a conservative approach. You're a bit less risk tolerant, I would say, than maybe other partners who evaluate cases, myself included.
Yeah.
Not to say that we've got folks here that are reckless or anything like that, but certainly, risk exists on a spectrum, and I would say that you're more risk averse, and that surfaces in the quality of the originations you develop. Yeah?
Yeah, I think so. I always want to feel really secure about the evidence. And so I love talking to experts early on, even before we've initiated or decided we're going to do a case. I like to feel strong about the evidence. And then I really want to feel good about the outrage, what we call the outrage factor, which is does anyone care? Is this a significant enough issue that we should be taking our time and resources and the court's time and resources to prosecute these cases? And so, yeah, I want to feel good about it. And the better I feel about those factors, the better I'm going to prosecute a case.
Curry 30 framework, by the way, we call it that because we want to be 10 out of 10 on 3 different metrics: merits, damages, and outrage factor.
Yeah.
And those add up to 30 if all things are running, perfectly.
Yeah.
And that's the number that he wears on his back, whom I think he's the GOAT, Steph Curry. But
Yeah.
I want to switch gears a little bit. So you became a mom in 2016.
I did.
And our daughter, Ada Maris, was born, and she's now, she's 9.5 years old. What's it like being a mom?
Oh, we're going in this direction.
Yeah. A little pivot.
To momhood. Being a mom, I think it's the best thing I've ever done in my life. I never thought I would, not that I didn't think I would be a mom, but I wasn't very focused on it throughout my life. I sort of thought if it happens, it happens, and let's see. And then I married you, and we made it happen.
Guilty.
We made it happen. And it is by far the most wonderful, it's the most wonderful experience.
What, how has motherhood changed you?
It's probably made me, the answers, it's wild how the sort of cliche answers are so accurate. It's given me more purpose. It just has, it's given me a new purpose in life that is to ensure that she and children in general, it's given me like this bigger interest in society's children, to ensure that they are protected and they'll be okay, And so when you have this desire to make sure that your child is going to live in a world that's okay, and other children, you have that feeling too, you take steps to want to try to ensure that. And thankfully, we're in a career and a position where we can actually do a little something about that. And so it's that much more drive to want to, make the world a better place. Truly.
I want to touch on something, or I'd like you to touch on something, because, I'm sure there are many listeners out there who are thinking, here's Shireen Clarkson, who is co-founder of one of the fastest growing plaintiff-side class and mass action firms in the country, if not the fastest growing, senior partner, and, a busy working professional. But you're also a wife and you're also a mother. How do you balance your professional life with your personal life as a working mother?
I think, as most mothers, I'm sure would agree, the more you have on your plate, somehow the more capacity you have. It just happens. And I think the reason is if you care about the different things that you're taking care of, you will find ways to take care of them. You obviously care about your children, so you're going to do anything and everything to take care of them. I care about my career and our firm, so I will do anything I have to do to make sure that succeeds. And then my family and friends, I need, for life and for balance and for my sanity. So I find ways to ensure that we, maintain those relationships and have those people in our lives as well. So I think you make it happen when you care about it.
What gives you balance? What do you do to help try to achieve some balance between all of the different aspects of your life?
What gives me balance? Can you ask that a different way?
Well, you're asking me to rephrase? That's such a lawyer response, isn't it?
No, I'm trying to think about.
Yeah, let me rephrase.
I mean, the very literal answer to that is yoga. I mean, like,
Okay.
that's my.
You're a yogi?
When I find time to bring it in, I'm like, oh, okay. Okay. It's all gonna be okay, and it's all together, and I can balance. Somehow it helps. Moving my body, breathing, stretching, like yoga. That's the first thought that came to my mind. It really does help. And it doesn't have to specifically be yoga. It is for me, but it can be some physical bodily movement. Sometimes that's tennis for me. Sometimes it's different things, but yoga's good.
I was going to say I could be involved in that. Tennis partner.
Oh,
tennis partner.
Yeah. God. Yeah, I think so. Get your mind.
So,
but you see, some days I'm like, Ryan, I need to go move my body. These words come out of my mouth almost every other day. I need to go move my body.
Yeah. No, it's good. I mean, and you remind me of the need to do that as well. So,
I think that helps. I think that helps with balance. I don't know if that's where you were going with your question, but that
wasn't a leading question. I'm actually trying to get to know my wife better. No, this is good, but I'm also trying to ask questions that, maybe I'm putting myself in the shoes of the viewer and listener here to try to maybe think about what they might want to know about you. I think, listen, you're someone who is a very powerful, important person at the firm. But I think there's a lot of mystique surrounding you as well. And whereas there are others out there on the front lines of litigation, like a Glenn Danis, who was our guest a few weeks ago, very visible and out there. Tracy Cowan, who, is very much out there, doing pub and all the good work she does in her practice areas. You're still doing all of these things, but some of it, more of it is behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And so there's a little bit of a mysteriousness about you that I'm trying to, I'm trying to uncover a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now the yoga is out.
Everybody knows you're a yogi now.
Everybody knows I do yoga now.
You do yoga almost every day, I would say, wouldn't you? You're like 3-4 times a week.
Oh, I wish I did it every day, but as much as possible. Yeah.
No,
I do some sort of form of physical activity every day.
Yeah, so it's either walking, tennis, yoga. What else?
Just my workout in my my gym with my weights.
Free weights or machine for the people?
Free weights.
Oh yeah, keep it old school. That's what's up. Dumbbells?
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Okay. So should we do like a wrap? Oh, well, you know what? Before we do that, I want to talk. Okay, let's talk about the future.
Okay.
Where are you going in your career? What do you want to do next? What's the next mountain you want to climb?
Mm-hmm.
What does it look like in, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years time?
Yeah. This is that question in every interview that I sort of despise, only because it just...
You hate my question.
No, I don't hate your question. It's a good question. It's something you and I talk about all the time, where we want things to go and where we want our lives to go, our firm to go, personal careers. We talk about it all the time. I never quite come to an answer. So that's why, I don't always love the question. But the things I think about are continuing to build our firm. I think that what we've done so far, I feel so good about, and I have you to, so much of it goes to you and your vision, and your leadership. But what we have built and the direction that the firm is going and the place that it is in right now feels very good. So what's wonderful about your question is that I don't feel the need for some huge shift, in anything, because things are feeling very good. So I think it's just, let's take the next year, 2 years to 5 years and just continue to do strong work, big cases that it make as much impact as we can, and continue to bring really good cases, employ really great people, and continue to do what we do best. And that's what I'd like to see over the next few years.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I agree with all that. I think I'm feeling a lot of that too.
Yeah.
Should we do a rapid fire round where we just ask, I get to ask some quick questions and you give me some quick responses?
If you've got some quick questions,
I'm just going to try to come up with them off the top of my head.
Okay. Do I have like a limited number of words?
No, you can just roll with it, but let's see if we can catch a groove and move through these almost bar exam style. Hit it and move on.
Okay. Bar exam style means quickly.
Right.
Okay.
Like you've got 200 questions in 2 hours and you just have to answer
right.
them. Okay. But whatever it takes. If you want to slow down to really give a thoughtful response, that's fine. But I'll try to ask a series of questions.
Okay.
And I don't have anything prepared, so I'm just going to go with this.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. Hopefully it'll work out.
Okay.
What do you want to be known for?
I want to be known for this is not as fast as
it was like not a rapid fire question
at all.
I'm just messing with you. Let's start.
Oh God. Okay. That was big. That was like what's my legacy going to be? I don't know. Oh my God. Let me think about it.
Here in 10 seconds or less. No, I'm just messing with you. All right. So rapid fire questions. These are like, what did you ask me? Do you remember what you asked me on the rapid fire ones?
I don't remember.
Okay. All right. So let me just see what I can come up with off the top of my head. All right. Let's see here. Okay. I've got some things bubbling up. All right. They're bubbling up. Okay. Favorite weekend vacation spot?
Santa Barbara.
Why?
Because it is my happy place, and we go there and we literally just open up and relax and find joy, and it's close and easy, and I love it.
Favorite vacation you've ever been on?
Tie between I'd go with Greece, and which was on our the trip we took, not when we got married, but the trip we took when we were dating.
Oh my gosh.
That was an amazing.
Why
are you laughing? That was an amazing trip.
The wedding vacation took second to the prior visit to Greece.
Well, the wedding was a wedding trip was a wedding trip.
I hear you. Okay,
putting that one aside.
Between that one and what was the other?
That one and Biarritz as a location, as a destination. It was a wonderful new destination that we found that we loved.
Adia was about 8 months old for that trip, I think, right?
Yeah.
I would love to go back there. It's
just such a cool spot.
Biarritz is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Southwest.
It's like a
France.
Easygoing French culture. Paris is not easygoing, but Biarritz is.
We call it French Santa Barbara.
Yeah, exactly.
Fantastic. Food scene, art scene, beach, surfing community.
Yeah.
Art. Did I say art? It's great.
Mm-hmm.
Where is this is all, I guess, wanderlust stuff here. What's the next place you have on your short list of places to visit?
The Far East. So I'd like Japan, Thailand, Bali. But let's go Japan first.
What's your favorite food?
Sushi.
What's your favorite rap song?
I don't know, Ryan.
Give me one. And rap the first line.
No.
I'm kidding.
It's got to be like a Biggie song.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hypnotize or something like that?
No, I'm not a big fan of Hypnotize. It's
Okay, see? I knew you'd have a take on this.
But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Something from Biggie.
Yeah.
Pac?
Oh yeah, Tupac.
Yeah, you like Tupac. Yeah. Favorite Tupac song?
So many.
Give me one. Or rap one.
No.
Really?
I'm not going to rap a song right now,
You're
Ryan.
taking the fifth on just naming a favorite Tupac song?
I like Me and My Girlfriend.
There you go. Okay. Thank you.
Can you want to rap that one? I know you know it.
Me and my girlfriend.
There you go.
All I need in this life is it's a good one. How about give me a pet peeve.
When you try to force me to like sing or like be a clown.
Okay.
That's a pet peeve of mine.
Yet, you'll still do karaoke from time to time.
But that's not me being a clown.
Give me a real
That's me being a performer.
Give me a real pet peeve, something that annoys you.
When things aren't put back in their place.
Okay.
I'm a very tidy person.
A favorite memory of our family with Adia.
Oh, Ryan.
A favorite
memory with Adia. Maybe
like a birthday party, a trip somewhere.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Her Adia's birthday parties at our house are going to be some of the best memories of my life. So we throw a birthday party for Adia almost every year at our house, and it's big. We go big.
It's our big bash.
It's our big bash of the year, and it's for her. And all our friends, her friends, everybody, music, food, and it's always our best parties. So
I think we need to make that one bigger. There are others I'd like to pull into that party.
Well, let's ask her. She's in charge of the guest list. Yeah.
Yeah. She usually does a great job on the guest list and the party, everything, the theme, all of it's always her.
It's always a theme. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. We could just throw parties like that without it being Adia's party, but somehow that's always
Let's do that.
The motivation. Yeah.
No, we should do that.
Yeah.
Do you like to party?
I do like to party.
How do you like to party?
How do I like to party?
Yeah. What do you like to do when you party? What's your thing?
People, come on, Ryan.
Do you like to dance?
This is getting real.
Do you like to dance?
I do like to dance.
Okay. You like to dance.
I like music and I like food.
Yeah.
Come on, Ryan.
Some wine maybe from time to time?
Sure.
What's your favorite cocktail?
A martini.
Gin or vodka?
Vodka.
What kind of vodka?
Up with olives. No, like a Belvedere or Tito's.
Okay. Belvedere or Tito's up with olives vodka martini.
Yeah. That's a good.
And that would precede what? Like a steak dinner maybe or something like that?
Yeah.
Ooh, we should go to Lucky's tonight.
Yeah.
Be fun. Is there anything that I, didn't ask you that you'd like me to ask you? Or wish I would have asked you?
No.
Okay. I did that good of a job?
Yes, you covered everything.
Did I?
You did. You did a nice job.
Okay.
And then some. Mm-hmm.
So, all right, let me let you leave with this particular note, and then we'll do rosebud or thorn. Does that sound good?
Sure.
All right. So, if you could give one piece of advice to someone out there who's, listening in, thinking about becoming a lawyer, and pursuing the type of work that you do, what would you advise them? What would you say to them?
I would say, I think the most important thing to do and to think about when you are starting early in your career, early in your law career, is to think about what you actually care about, what motivates you, and what type of people you want to represent and what type of causes you want to advocate for. And once you figure out what those things are, trying to get into a firm, a law firm, or an organization that does that represents those types of people and does that type of work, I think that's the most important. thing to do, if you can identify that within yourself. And that usually comes from a place of outside of having worked in litigation or in law. It's really just something that's inside of you. And I think that's really important. I probably would have gotten to where I am now sooner had I just tried to identify that sooner. And so that's what I would say to do.
Sage advice. I like that. Okay. Well, this has been fantastic.
Thanks, Ryan.
Shall we do rose butter thorn?
Sure.
Okay, let's do it. Do you have a rose butter thorn that you wanted to talk about, or should I get into one while you? All right, let me share mine.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about it at the top of the show, but my rose is USA Soccer, is the team that got a huge win at the World Cup against Paraguay. They look so strong. I think they have the ability to go really deep into this tournament, maybe even win it all. Wouldn't that be nuts? So I'm all about Team USA Soccer and hopefully, doing some damage in this World Cup tournament. Bravo, gents.
Okay. Very good. I'm going to plug a spot in Malibu as part of my Rose/Bud, which is I found a new yoga studio that I absolutely love.
Really?
And yes, I did. It's called the Mindry in Malibu. And it's sort of opened up a whole new world for me. I'll be practicing yoga much more often now because I found this studio. So I was just happy to find it. Malibu's a small town. There's not a ton of commercial activity. And so when you locate, when you find places that you really love, it's exciting. So that was my...
Fantastic. It's at Cross Creek? Or where is it?
Yeah, it's in that area. Yes.
Okay. Terrific. And what's unique about this place called the Mindry?
It's just a great space. All the instructors so far, I've been to a couple classes now, are excellent. And it's not too busy. You never have to wait or get on a wait list. None of that business. It's a beautiful studio. It's great.
Fantastic.
I love it.
Maybe I'll go with you one of these days.
You should. You need some stretching of the body.
Let's talk about me now, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, Shireen, thank you so much.
Okay.
This has been very educational and very illuminating. I feel like I've learned a lot about you today as well.
Oh, good. I'm
Even
glad.
after almost 11 years of marriage, actually 11 years of marriage coming up legally at the end of this month.
Yeah.
Right?
Not to mention all those other years we were just illegally married.
No, I mean, we celebrated. We had a reception 6 months after we were legally married.
Yes.
I'm not saying we were illegally married. Okay. All right. So I'm going to read us out.
Okay. Thanks, Ryan.
Represent More is a production of We Are Them Media, featuring me, Ryan Clarkson, and my co-host and guest today, Shireen Clarkson. Represent More is produced and edited by Marketing for Justice and Q Michelli and recorded live at our studio here in Malibu, California. Alex Ulrich is our studio manager. Be sure to subscribe to Represent More wherever you get your podcasts. Find us on Substack at representmore.substack.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.